Colossians chapter 2, verse 6. As ye have therefore received Mashiach Yahawashi the Lord, so walk ye in him, rooted and built up in him, and established in the faith, as ye have been taught, abounding therein with thanksgiving. I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Yasharallah. The salutation to the Akim throughout the four corners of the earth, preaching the truth and sincerity, and keeping the faith of Yahawashi and the gospel. This is Hawa Ya'Allah, just going into a lesson just concerning, a question that a brother had, just concerning, tips of studying and basically, just building yourself up more and more in the Word. And I'm just going to kind of just go over a few different, precepts just to kind of touch on, some certain things that you want to be aware of as you're building yourselves up in the faith. And, also helping you out with some study tips as well, some of the tools that I use, as far as just the main tools that I use. So just basically seeing here, of course, the main thing stressing is basically, being rooted and builded up in Yahawashi, all right, which is the basic principle, of this thing of ours, basically when you first come into the truth and you receive this knowledge, it even goes further past just your knowing your nationality, all right, because there was many men that knew that there were Israelites that didn't have wisdom, okay, and that's very clear when you just read through the scriptures, okay. Now, of course, the main focus that we have is, faith in Yahawashi, okay. Now, once you have that, that's the key element, all right. Once you have that part down, now you can be dealt with to be starting to build up on your wisdom, okay. Now, it says here, you should continue to walk in him, rooted and built up in him, okay. So your roots, all right, your roots, which is basically your, that's going to cause you to grow and bear fruit, is basically going to have to be, Yahawashi, all right, and built up in him as well, okay. So you have to be established in the faith and basically build upon the basic principles of this truth of ours, okay. And that's the reason why you have to get your foundation right. A lot of the things that is going to help you grow is basically being good on the foundational principles as well, okay. So I'll just go into a few different precepts, just as far as what will be able to kind of give you that understanding of what I'm talking about. Of course, there's many more things we can talk about, which would make the lesson very long, but I just want to kind of keep it, a little bit short, okay. So now, as you see here, just going to read the 8th verse as well, right? It says here, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men and after the rudiments of the world, and not after Mashiach, okay? Because the thing about it is, when you come into the truth, a lot of the things that you learned under this man Esau, with the way of how to do things in the way of thinking, and a lot of these different philosophies, a lot of these different doctrines, that's one of the things that you got to remove yourself from, because of the fact that it's not going to be profitable for you when you're building your foundation, okay. It's going to lead to, issues in you understanding different aspects of the word. So you want to definitely make sure that you're not, taken away, all right, or carried away by other doctrines, okay. And that's part of the reason why you see people that, they're not able to grow at the rate that they're supposed to, or the way they're supposed to, because one, they're either lacking in a foundational principle. Well, the main thing that some people might lack is, Yahawashi, all right. So that's the reason why if you see a lot of different men out there that don't believe, on Yahawashi, all right, but don't believe on his name, everything that they deal with is basically going to be off. Everything that they grow in it. Well, from that point on, because their foundation was set wrong, when they start building, everything else is messed up as well. Okay. So, kind of going into, another precept. Let's go to, let's go to Luke, chapter 6. We're going to go down to verse 45. Actually go to 46. Okay, it says here, and why call ye me Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say? Okay, so that's one of the things you have to do is start doing the things that he says. So a lot of things that we have to do is, if you're coming into this truth, you got to start putting off the old man. All right, you got to start trying to keep the commandments to the best of your ability. All right, so there's various commandments that you can do when you first get into the truth. Such as like the dietary law. That's one of the first things that brothers start doing. So you start just removing off the old man and starting to do certain things. Start growing your beard. Stop. Basically. Of course, eating unclean foods. Start trying to keep the different high holy days. Things like that. And after a while, the Most High will start giving you that wisdom and start dealing with you more and more as you start being obedient to His word as much as possible. Okay, so that's the reason why He says, do the things that I say. Okay, and as you keep growing, depending on the level that you're at, you might start, being able to teach other people, and then you might start being able to maybe, go out on the streets. Or you might be able to start doing lessons or whatever it is. Maybe you might start just re-uploading other brothers' videos. Whatever it is, you might be re-uploading news. Whatever it is that you can start to contribute, within the body. Okay. Now, this is what Yahawashi says: "Whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings and doeth them, I will show you to whom he is like. He is like a man which built an house and dig deep and laid the foundation on a rock. And when the flood rose and the stream beat vehemently upon that house and could not shake it, for it was founded upon a rock." Okay, and that's the reason why it's important that you build that foundation on Yahawashi. Okay, because it's going to allow you to withstand the different things. Because part of getting wisdom and growing in the faith is also being able to overcome different trials and tribulations, which you're only going to be able to overcome if Yahawashi is truly your foundation. If Yahawashi is truly not your foundation, then that's what's going to allow Satan to come through and knock you off. Okay, so these are just different elemental things that I want brothers to be aware of in regards to growing in the faith, growing in wisdom and knowledge and understanding of the scriptures. Okay, because again, this is not like Esau's school system where someone goes and studies for a certain amount of years and they earn a master's degree and a PhD and they have all this understanding of different things. This is all spiritual. All right, so you're not going to get it after the rudiments of this world. That's the reason why a lot of these scholars, you got scholars out there that go and they study the Bible day and night, but they can't understand the scriptures because the Most High is not dealing with them. They're not Israelites, or they don't believe on Yahawashi. They believe in the ways of Esau. So the Most High can't even deal with them. Okay, so that's part of the reason why this is a very different thing. We're going to kind of get into how to obtain wisdom as well. So kind of going into wisdom of Solomon. The fourth verse. This is chapter 1, verse 4. It says, "For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject unto sin." Okay, so a malicious soul, man. If you have a wicked soul, if you have a wicked soul, the Most High is not going to allow wisdom, to enter into you. Okay, or it'll even be stifled as well, because you're not if a man is not right, the Most High can't really deal with him. That's the reason why you have certain men that have basically left off from their original love, like someone like Nate. He can't understand different things. A lot of his men that follow him as well, because one, they've basically have decided to now build away from Yahawashi, and now wisdom is not even really dealing with them. All right, so that's the reason why it's important to always examine yourself as well. Of course, we're not going to be completely perfected until the time of Yahawashi's arrival. All right, but then how is your mind geared within itself? Like how are you honest? Are you a sincere person, or are you someone who is not sincere? That's gonna kind of deal with how wisdom is gonna really be dealing with you, because if for example, a malicious soul is someone who maybe wants to make gain off of the truth. So someone might want to gets into the truth, it feels like they want to make merchandise of their own people, and start building up a store and things like that, and start making money off of the word. Start selling breakdowns. All right, start doing things like that, at that point, you have a malicious soul. Wisdom is no longer going to be dealing with you because you're not even doing what the word says. There's many aspects in the scriptures that deal with your behavior and how you're really supposed to conduct yourself in the truth. Okay? And it says here, for the Holy Spirit of discipline will flee deceit and remove from thoughts that are without understanding, and will not abide when unrighteousness cometh in. Okay, so that's one of the ways that wisdom can flee from someone is if they're basically not disciplined. Okay, all right, they're not basically truly sincere about this. And that's been seen by many times with many examples of many men. Okay, so kind of just going into let's go back to John. All right, I think 15th verse. Let's go here, John 15, and it's the 5th verse. This is what Yahawashi says to his disciples. He says, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. But for without me, ye can do nothing. So basically, you cannot rely on your own strength. You have to rely on, Yahawashi, right, to basically abide in him, so that way you may continue to bear fruit. Okay? And so it's very simple. You're not going to do this on your own strength like Esau does. Esau tries to go and he does archaeological digs, and people go to these different schools, which are all set up to basically go away and against the truth. And people, that's why when you get into the truth, a lot of times your family or your friends, all right, when you first get into the truth and you're reading the Bible, they think that you're not going to learn anything unless you go after Esau's way. And the only way they're going to respect you sometimes is if you say, well, look, I'm going to go to one of these Bible colleges. That's when they'll look at you as being real serious or being a true scholar of the word or a real man of the Lord. That's how they look at it, because they going after the rudiments of this world. But we understand that everything is based off of us on our connection, right, to Yahawashi. Okay, so now we go into Matthew 8. Matthew 9. I think the 14th verse. All right. Then came to him the disciples of John, saying, why do we and the Pharisees fast oft, but thy disciples fast not? Right, so I was kind of going into fasting as well, okay? Because one of the ways that I grew, through the Spirit, quickly, my first year in the truth is, I spent, on average, maybe a week, one day out the week fasting during that time, that's a very important thing as well. There's good health benefits to fasting as well. But from a spiritual standpoint, you see that Yahawashi fasted. Okay, I mean, if Yahawashi is fasting, why shouldn't we? If he fasted, okay. And of course, about the Day of Atonement. Which the Day of Atonement shouldn't even be that big of a deal for a brother that's been in the faith for a while. Of course, if you're new and you're just now getting into this faith, that might be a big hurdle for you to overcome. Is maybe something like the Day of Atonement. But beyond that, there should be a level of spiritual awareness that you need to know that you need to fast more often, because that's how, you're going to also grow. And just kind of read this next verse as well. It says, and Yahawashi said unto them, can the children of the bride chamber mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken from them, and then they shall fast. Right? Because part of your fasting is basically a mourning process as well, because when you fast, you're basically are denying your flesh, right? One of the main things your body wants to do is it wants to eat, right? So when you don't do what you want to do in the flesh, which is eating, right, which is one of the pleasurable things of man, then you are breaking yourself, so to speak. So when you do that, the Most High can kind of, come and basically deal with you on that level a little bit more. Now you're able to kind of get closer, to, Yahawashi, through this process. Okay, so this is very important for brothers, especially now we're in the last few seconds of this queendom. It's important to every once in a while try and get a fast in and pray, for strength and wisdom. Pray for, self-control, different things, whatever it is that you want to pray for. that's a good thing to do. Okay. So I'm going to kind of just go into, also in a very important part, which is, balance. Okay. Let's see. All right. So as far as with balance itself, this is Proverbs 11 verse 1. A false balance is an abomination unto Yahweh. It says, but a just weight is his delight. Right? So, you want to have proper balance, okay? Because one thing is hard to do. You want to, you don't want to be all the time, studying and losing your mind, because we're still in this flesh, meaning your body only has certain limitations that it can go. Right? If you study, if you're always reading day and night, then what will happen is you'll end up not being able to retain information. Right? So sometimes you got to step away for, a little bit in terms of, how you go about studying. Maybe you might just, step away and just meditate. Sometimes you just turn off everything, maybe no TV, no music, and just start meditating and thinking about things. Start thinking about lessons maybe that you've seen. Maybe start thinking about what you've read, earlier in that day. Start basically thinking about scriptures and how they apply to your life and how they apply to the times that we're in. So you have time to kind of, have that word that you've learned, in you. You can have it kind of resonating with you and the understanding of it resonating in you, rather than basically doing how Esau does, where, they just read. You see that nerdy Edomite, probably going to like a library doing a PhD, and they're always got all these different books and they're reading all day and they're doing all that. That's not really the way that this truth is, because you'd be surprised, man. A lot of times you'll learn things that you didn't even really study because you're just balanced. The Most High will just give it to you with ease. There's times, and brothers will tell you this all the time, there's times when I hadn't read a scripture in maybe months, maybe even up to a year. And you might be somewhere and all of a sudden that scripture will just jump up inside your head. You'll remember, exactly where it is out of nowhere. Because again, Yahawashi, like he said, learn of me, for my burden is light and my yoke is easy. All right. So a lot of things that you're going to get, the Most High is just going to just basically be able to give it to you in due time without you really having to work so hard for it. So of course you're still going to put in the time to study, but I just want to make sure that brothers understand that there's a proper balance to everything. Okay. Now, I'm going to just kind of back that up with another precept in Proverbs chapter 25 and verse 16. It says, hast thou found honey? Eat so much as is sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled therewith and vomit it. Okay, so that's another thing with balance. Eat what is sufficient for you. Don't try and go above and beyond what you're capable of taking in. Okay, you got sometimes, you get into the truth and look, we're men. You want to basically, dominate. You have, that's a natural instinct to you. I want to get into the scriptures. I want to know everything I need to know. And you just want to just get in there so much. But it's like when you pace yourself and you eat the scriptures the right way and you allow it to just nourish and digest and go through that, it's just like anything, you have to have everything. You eat something in moderation, and you take things piece by piece rather than just going full buffet. Right? Because if you go full buffet and if you ever eaten, I'll give you an example. If you ever eaten a whole bunch of food, you might have drank a lot of soda, especially when you're back in the world or whatever, or you might have been drinking and you had so much inside your belly. What happens to you is that you probably end up falling, you go to sleep, and you'll find yourself probably even throwing up, you find yourself vomiting or coughing out, because you've eaten so much, your body's starting to reject it. And that's the same thing with this word, man. Your flesh can only take in so much at a time that it'll start to war against the spirit quicker. So what you got to do is you got to pace yourself to allow your mind to adjust to this newfound knowledge. All right. So that way, as you're doing it, slow, as you keep on doing it, piece by piece and getting in your information, now it's sufficiently working with you. And now you're able to really use, what you've learned. Okay. So see here, kind of going into something else now. Another thing is key. Okay. Because this is something that Solomon did as well. Solomon had to do this, and we all know, through the Spirit who Solomon is. So, I mean, if he did this, why shouldn't we? This is another thing too. In James 1:5, right? If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask the Most High, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. Okay, it says, but lest him ask in faith, nothing wavered, for he that wavereth is like the wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. Okay, for let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. Okay, so that's the key, man. You gotta ask. Asking you shall receive. All right, and that's a good gift. Of course, there's certain things that we ask for. We ask for to be, of course, delivered, and it doesn't happen immediately. Okay, but you're still gonna ask. One thing I noticed that, just for me on my own personal experience, is that, when I've asked, for certain understanding of things, I've gotten it. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, I've gotten it. When I first came into the truth early on, I wanted to, get better at knowing the Hebrew, at knowing, the Greek, going into words. Before I actually started studying that, the first thing I did, I asked, I basically, fasted, prayed, asked that I may be able to be given understanding and be able to increase in that area. And the next week, before I knew it, I was really starting to take hold of the Hebrew. I started being able to grow into the Hebrew, into the Greek, into words and things like that. So I know for certain, I can tell you that, this is a true scripture, and it works with other things as well, with other things. And, of course, sometimes the Most High will give it to you in different ways. He might not give it to you directly. He might give it to you through another brother. But when you ask, you'll just end up getting it, because somehow, some way, if the Most High is dealing with you, you're eventually going to get that information that you're asking for, or just the understanding overall about something. So sometimes you might, again, there's various ways you'll get it, because, and that's one thing about wisdom, man. It's not going to always work the way you think it's going to work. You're not going to just, it's not like all of a sudden out of nowhere, Yahawashi is going to manifest himself to you and just show you what you need to know. So if you just pay attention spiritually, you'll end up getting your answer or whatever wisdom that you're looking for. All right. So yeah, no kind of, going on these different scriptures, but I just want to make sure that, brothers have a good understanding of, things when you're going about your studies. Okay. Now here it is, kind of just wanted to make sure that brothers understand, the right way to study. Okay. Because when you are in Esau school system, they teach you to read, different ways. And there's nothing wrong with brothers, reading chapters. There's nothing wrong with brothers reading whole books. That's a good way to still learn and to get a good understanding of the scriptures as well. So I'm not against that. I do that myself, where I just sit down and I'll read chapters. I'll read, different books and say, I'll just go through, this book, this week. I'll go through this one the next week or whatever. But the best way to learn, it's been taught in the scriptures, right? Because the scriptures has little key, wisdom in there, that's going to help you out. Right now, this is Isaiah chapter 28 and verse 9. Okay, whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. Right. So those that have the foundation. If when you're weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast, that means that you already have gotten that foundation. You've already been nourished on the basic principles. Okay. So key thing is you have to have those basic principles, which we already kind of looked into. The main thing is basically faith on Yahawashi, right? Starting to basically understanding the importance of putting his words into practice, and then you can start growing spiritually in the faith and start receiving, the other levels of understanding of the scriptures, because the fear of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is the beginning of wisdom. Okay, so it says here, for precept must be upon precept. Okay, precept upon precept. All right, so that means that you gotta, like House of Pain, right? That group back in the 90s, you gotta jump around. Okay, you gotta jump around to start getting the understanding. So once you get past that stage of, that milk part, now it's time for you to just really understand. Okay, look, when you see a verse, you gotta understand that every verse has a precept. Okay, everything has a precept. Okay, everything has a precept in the Bible. There's no scripture that you can isolate on its own and say that that's just talking. There's nothing else that it's referring to. Okay, and you'd be surprised, as you start kind of growing, in the faith, and you start receiving that wisdom, you'll see things, that you didn't see before. You'll read a certain verse or chapter, and you'll realize, oh wow, this one actually links with this one. This one links with this precept over here. And that's the correct way to learn. Over there in these groves, they don't learn like that. They don't learn like that at those Bible colleges. They have a concordance, but they don't really truly learn precept upon precept. Okay, because if they did, then they would know the truth. Okay, so now it says line upon line upon line, here a little and there a little. Okay, so sometimes you got to just take things in pieces as well. For example, Yahushua said, "Ye are gods," right? So he took just a little piece, all right, of a scripture, all right, from the book of Psalms, and basically used that as part of what he was teaching about. Okay, so you can so there's certain things that are just, here a little and there a little. Okay, so those are things that you want to know. This is a very important piece of getting the understanding of scripture. That's the reason why when you see the apostles, elders and other brothers that teach, one of the things that they do is they go into different precept. They jump from one precept to another to show you, okay, they're trying to give you the they're trying to solidify their point. And that's how you solidify the scriptures. That's how we know the different aspects. That's how we know that Esau, all right, cannot be saved, because we can go through many precepts to show you that's not the case. That's how we know, all right, about who Israel is according to the spirit of the scriptures, because we go precept upon precept. That's how we know where Babylon is, where Babylon the Great is, because we're able to identify it precept upon precept based on the scriptures. Okay, so these are different things that you're going to have to know in order to grow and understand. Okay, now just bring another precept before I go into the tools. All right, and hopefully this has been edifying. All right. So here we're going to go into John 16 and verse 13. Howbeit, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth. All right, so that's key, because if you got the Spirit, all right, the Holy Spirit dealing with you, then it's going to eventually guide you to all truth. If the Most High is dealing with you, you're going to be able to get that information. You're going to be able to be guided to all truth. And this is part of the importance of understanding the Spirit of truth, is the fact that a lot of information that you're going to get, sometimes you're going to get a lot of bones. If you're watching a documentary about something, there's going to be aspects of it in it that's going to be good for you, and there's going to be other aspects that are bones that need to be thrown away, right? And the Spirit of truth will guide you into all truth, right? And that's another reason why we're able to properly break down, Deuteronomy 23:7, to show you that word actually there is Syrian and not an Edomite. Okay, because the Spirit of truth will guide you into that information. Okay, that's part of the reason why you always got to go up precept upon precept, like I told you before, because you actually have to find a precept where it says love Esau. That's a simple thing. Okay, if you can't find that precept, how can you justify that Esau can be loved when every other thing it's referring to Esau is regarded, is basically talks about hating Esau, all right, and getting rid of Esau. So it doesn't make sense. This is part of the things that if you are rooted in Yahushua and you built your foundation on them, you're not going to be tripped up by the wiles and the trickery of these other men out here. Okay, so continuing on, it says, for he shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak, and he will show you things to come. Okay, so that includes the prophecies, right? That's the reason why, we're able to get the understanding of the different things that's about to come, here in Babylon and around the world, because we've been shown all things through the Spirit of truth. Okay, so now also, of course, the brother wanted to know about different tools and stuff. That's one of the things I kind of wanted to go into as well. So some of the tools, of course, that you want to have as a young brother that's coming into the truth, right? The main thing you want to have is a King James Bible. Okay, if you have a King James Bible that does not have the Apocrypha, right, you can go ahead and get the Apocrypha. It's like less than $10. You can get it like on Amazon.com. They have one. I believe it's made by I want to say it's made by Cambridge, and that's a very good one to have. With that, I usually, with the Apocrypha, I take that to the plantation. It's very portable. You can just take it there. Sometimes, if I have some downtime or whatever, or on my break, I might just read it and kind of just, read some different chapters, read some different precepts and things like that. So that's a very good one to have. I mean, a lot of brothers have that Apocrypha, right? So if you just got a King James Bible only without the Apocrypha, I encourage you to get it. There's also other Bibles out there. You can get a King James 1611 Bible that has the entire Bible as it was made by King James. All right, so you can get that, I believe, for under $30. You can get like the hardbook cover version of that as well. The font on it is, to me, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good font. Certain words you're probably not going to be able to understand, but over time, if you're using the 1611, I forgot the name of the company, but I'll put a picture of that particular book or whatever. But that's a good one. You see a lot of brothers with it. And then also, another thing to have is like some kind of a notepad, something to take notes on. All right, so if you are one who likes to write notes, that's cool. If you have a notepad app or something like that on your phone or tablet, utilize that as well. The reason why I say that is because, sometimes you're going to forget. Again, you're not going to remember everything, all right? A good way to kind of notate different things, if you're, have something like that, you can put different things together. If you remember a scripture, or maybe there's something that came in your mind, you're like, what, I'm trying to see if I can find the scripture. Notate it down, do a search. I'll go into the different apps and things that I use as well. Then also, when you go into as far as with apps, one of the main things that you can use, and there's also a website as well, is the Blue Letter. Okay, I mean, that's pretty much, that is a very good tool, right? The Blue Letter Bible, all right, .org. If you've seen that, what I've been using so far in this lesson, that's pretty much the Blue Letter Bible app. Okay, so that's a good one to use. I encourage brothers to definitely get the apps on your phone. I'm gonna be honest, as far as when it comes to phones and apps, what to use. I mean, for me, I think the best one is the Android. I believe some of the apps are not available. There's certain apps that are not available on the iPhone. Now, I believe the Blue Letter app is available on the iPhone. It is available also on the Android. Now, the next app is not available, but there is some version of it, I believe. I've seen a brother who said that there is another app that is similar to it. But if you have the iPhone, you probably won't be able to find this particular app. This app is called the My Sword Bible app. Okay, and this app is probably the best app that I have on my phone, hands down. Okay, on my tablet or whatever. Now this app has everything. Okay, it's gonna go into, you can basically get the strongest concordance numbers. You can look up basically the words in the Hebrew and the Greek as you're reading. I mean, it's hands down, just an awesome app. You can actually download different modules, right, different dictionaries and things like that. I actually re-uploaded a video from another brother who went into that My Sword Bible app. That's how I got into it. I'll put the link in the description box as well, so that way you can go to it and you can see how it works. I mean, this is an app that's going to basically really hold you down. A lot of brothers, we use that, when we're out in the highways and byways, when we want to look up a word in the Greek or the Hebrew, and when we pull up the verse, we can click on the word, and bam, it's right there. Right, so this is going to help you with learning and picking up that Hebrew and Greek really well, okay? And it's also very convenient. It's very easy to use. It's just a phenomenal app. I think it's probably the best app that a brother can have on his phone as far as, in this truth, okay? And then you got another website that you can use as well. I use this to kind of get into the Apocrypha as well. If you wanted to do a search of a word or something like that, if you wanted to find a verse, this is very good. The website is called it's www.kingjamesbibleonline.org. I usually use the one that has the Apocrypha books, just to kind of get to it really quickly. So I'll put that link as well in the description box for any brothers that want to use that. You can also just have it saved in your favorites on your phone as well. It's a very good one. There's also a couple of Bible apps as well that have the Apocrypha. So I would encourage you to kind of download those. One of the ones that I was using before, I believe it's just Biblical Apocrypha, King James version. Just type in Apocrypha, in your Google Play Store or whatever, and just see what you can find, and just kind of test out which ones you think work the best for you. So that way you can just have that handy, because probably the only downfall of the MySword Bible app is it doesn't have the Apocrypha. So that's really the only downfall of that app. Other than that, everything else about it is on point. So you want to get that as well, just in case, because you might not have your script on you, you might have your phone on you, might be somewhere, you might want to read the Apocrypha, and you can just always access it that way, real easy. And then another tool that I use is the Bible Gateway. BibleGateway.com is very good for you to just do a quick little search if you wanted to find something. Also, it goes into different translations for you brothers that also speak other languages or are interested in learning scriptures in other languages. I use it sometimes when I want to go into the Latin Vulgate, because the Latin Vulgate sometimes will kind of give deep, a deeper understanding as well. Just like it is if you go into words in general. When you go into words, you get deeper understanding of it. But basically, that's a good thing that it helps. The BibleGateway.com has been around, for a very long time. So it's a reliable source to use. Another one is Etymology Online. All right, so Etymology Online, I'll put the link in the description box as well for that. And that one is very good because you're going to get a lot of information on words, the understanding of words through that app. And that app will help you out a lot. Apostle Gabar always talks about going into words and the importance of going into words. Me, I like going into words. It's just basically, it's more truth, right? Because etymology means, the true meaning of words. So when you go into that, it's going to give you deeper understanding, okay? It's just what it comes down to. And it's fun, anytime you hear a word or something like that, encourage you to just look it up, if that's the spirit that's on you, right? Because, you only can be who you are in this truth. If you're not a person that's heavy into words, you might not ever really be heavy into words, but at least get some of the basics understanding down. When you want to be able to break down John 3:16 to, one of these Jakes out here, or some of these other nations that come up against the truth, you want to understand, okay, what does the word world mean? You want to be able to go into that, different things, that's why it's important to go into the different types of words, etymology as well, right? Go into the word nation, okay? Because people think that America is actually a nation, but it isn't. It's a country, okay? It's not really a nation because a nation has an origin from an actual person, right? Nation. So when you look into those different words, just as examples, you're going to see, okay, wow, this is the true meaning of this word, right? And this is, you start seeing how things are misapplied in Babylon. Okay, this is why there's so much confusion here. Then another thing is the Bible dictionaries. I encourage your brother to at least own a Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. You'll get a lot of information in there, a lot of meat. There's some bones in it, right? But again, you'll be able to pick those out through the spirit, where the bones are. If you're basically, truly rooted in Yahawashi, you're going to get that information. Of course, other brothers can help you out as well, with that information. So at least at the bare minimum, I encourage brother to at least have a Zondervan and Compact Bible Dictionary. There's other dictionaries. I own other dictionaries. I own older versions of the Compact Bible Dictionary as well. So there's a lot of different ones. Another one that I have is the Erdman's Bible Dictionary. I'll put the picture as well so you can see what it looks like. That's a very deep dictionary. It's very, I would say that dictionary has a lot of deep information in there. There's some bones in it, but it goes even more in depth as well. All right, so those Bible dictionaries, they'll be helpful when you want to just know about certain things. And to me, when I'm early on in the faith, those things were very good, useful tools for me understanding biblical history and things like that. Okay. Now, when you go into words as well, again, this is another tool that I use. Another thing, I had bought what was called the Webster's 1828 Dictionary. Reason why I got that was because when I first got into the truth, reading the old English King James Bible, a lot of words I wasn't familiar with, or the use of the words. So one of the things that helped me with understanding those words was basically just reading, the definition in the Webster's 1828 Dictionary. Okay. Now I don't know how much it is right now on Amazon. I know when I bought it, it was kind of expensive a little bit. Now I believe there might be a site for the Webster's 1828 Dictionary where you can actually look up some of these different words. So I encourage you to probably do that as well if you're having a hard time understanding the words in the scriptures. But again, I can tell you, as time goes on in the truth, the Most High will just have you just understanding things a lot quicker. All right, so that's the beauty of this thing. A lot of times, those things will just out of nowhere start giving you, your understanding will be given to you quickly. Now another thing that I use, and I use this quite a bit, is the audio Bible. Okay, and actually it was many years ago before I even got into the truth. My mom had given me an Alexander Scourby audio Bible. Okay, honor thy mother and thy father. All right, so my mom actually had given me that, and this is well before I got into the truth. And I used to listen to it back then. Of course, I wasn't in the truth, but it was the narration and everything. It was on point. Okay, so when I later got into the truth, because that was an old CDs. CDs scratch up, they break. It was a whole bunch of different CDs for all the different books, and I eventually you lose some and things like that happen. You might leave one in someone's, in one CD player or whatever, or misplace certain things. So I ended up, after I got into the truth, I ended up going back and buying another one off of Amazon. Now, I don't know whether or not Amazon still has it. I actually had checked on it for a brother to see if they still had it. The version that I got was the Alexander Scourby MP3 CD version. And the reason why I got that version, because you can actually just when you put it in, you can just straight up just put it in a folder like the MP3s and create a playlist, and you can have the whole Bible on your phone or on your tablet, all right, or on your computer. You can just basically just play it from there. And the audio Bible is very good because, again, faith coming by hearing the word of God. And you'd be surprised, when you listen to the scriptures, and just like it is when you watch, videos on YouTube with the apostles teaching or any brother that's teaching, a lot of times you'll find yourself retaining a lot of different aspects of the words, understanding of different things as well. And I tell you, it will help you immensely because for me, one of the things that I do, I kind of unplug myself from a lot of things in the world, so when I'm in my vehicle, if I'm driving to the plantation or if I'm driving to camp, I'll have the scriptures just playing, inside my vehicle, and I'll just be listening. So on the ride, if it's like a 35, 40-minute ride, I might get through a whole bunch of different books. I might be able to get through a whole, something. I might be able to get through like 4 or 5 chapters, of a certain book. And you'll just start retaining things, right? You'll start retaining things. Sometimes, you'll get, different spiritual understanding just by listening versus reading sometimes. So that's why sometimes you got to try different things. Everybody's going to be different. Some brothers can sit down and read. I know for me, myself, personally, I don't sit down and read as much because, over time, my eyes get fatigued and things like that. And where I work at my plantation, I'm always looking at a computer sometimes, you know. So sometimes I want to step away and just be like, you know what, let me just listen to some scripts. So that's a good way to grow. You know, I encourage brothers to look into that. It's called the Alexander Scorby Bible. I use that one because I like the voice. The voice is good, it's powerful, you know, and everything like that. It helps you with retaining. You can also go on YouTube. I believe you can find out some different ones. They have different versions. You can get the ones that's non-dramatized. The dramatized one has, you know, different noises in the background and things like that to kind of, you know, dramatize, I guess, the scriptures. For me, I just use the one that doesn't, but to each his own. You know, I encourage you to definitely look into that. That's going to help you grow as well. And another thing that I use is for the Hebrew, especially, is to kind of make sure I kind of am sharp with my letters, is, you know, carry something around such as like the Paleo and Assyrian Hebrew script. Okay, you can go to Google Images and you can find, you know, Assyrian and script and the Paleo script of the Hebrew. And, you know, sometimes just look at it, you know, look at the letters, you know, get the familiarity. This is for brothers that want to go into the different words, want to be able to read Hebrew. Okay, so, you know, I would say have that around. That's something that I kind of carry around with me as well. I sometimes look and just kind of make sure that I'm sharp on my letters. So that way, if I'm out in the block and I need to bring out a word, or a brother asks me to bring out the, you know, a certain Hebrew word, I'll be able to look at that word and be able to pronounce it. Okay. And the understanding of the Hebrew is going to increase your knowledge so much more, because Hebrew is a very direct and straight to the point language. You can't hide the truth that's in the Hebrew, in the words itself, you know. So there's a lot of different things, you know, with that. And so again, I encourage brothers to look into that. And another tool for a lot of brothers, you know, I mean, this is going to help you out a lot. Google, man. Now, of course, Google has a lot of, you know, when you go into a Google search, you know, you're going to get some bones, but there are going to be things that are edifying as well. Okay. So, you know, if there's something you don't understand, you know, like the apostles always say, you know, go into Google, you know, look it up yourself. You're going to get some bones again, but you're going to get some good information sometimes as well. Right. So get knowledgeable on different things, get knowledgeable on history, because you can do all the studying all you want. But if you don't even know, if you can't put together history with some of these scriptures, then you're going to kind of be like, you're going to be lost in some of these things, right? So some of these scriptures and understanding you're going to do with growing, you're going to have to know history, plain and simple. You know, I did put up the video of the apostles talking about history being vital to understanding the truth, you know, and they go into that. So I'm just kind of, I put that out there just so brothers will kind of have a good understanding of, you know, of these things. And pretty much, you know, the last thing right now, I'm just going to finish it off. You know, of course, there's other different tools that brothers can have. If any brother has tools that they use and things that they use, feel free to put it on the comment board, you know, to, you know, continue to give brothers, you know, more edification, more information that they would need to, you know, help us grow and continue to abound in this truth. All right, so I'm going to just finish this off. This is 2 Peter, okay, chapter 1, verse 5, okay, because this is a very important thing at the end of the day, okay? Because we can do all the studying and have all the wisdom and understanding that we want to have, but at the end of the day, you know, this is what you want to be pursuing, right, in this truth, okay? And it says, and beside this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue, knowledge, and to knowledge, temperance, and to temperance, patience, and to patience, godliness, and to godliness, brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness, charity. For if these things be in you and abound, they make you that ye shall neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Lord Yahawashi Mashiach. Okay, so this is a very important thing. If you want to basically grow in the truth, is these things. You want to continue to grow in each one of these areas, and you want to grow in that order, right? Because the first thing you get is you got your faith, and you just keep going into this, right? And you know, I encourage you, brothers, you know, of course, to go into the words, you know, go into the blue letter. You know, this is an opportunity for you now to grow. I would recommend you look into this 2 Peter chapter 1 verses 5 right through 8, and go into each meaning of each of those different words that Peter was talking about, and get understanding, just as something that's gonna help build you up. And this is pretty much it. I have a lot of there's other tools, there's other things that you can do in this truth as well to grow, but these are some of the study tips that I use. Is so hopefully this is edifying for the brethren, and I wanted to make sure that I kind of got those scriptures out for you, so you kind of can have a good understanding, and then going into the different tools. So if you have any questions, feel free to hit up the comment board. And again, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Yahawashi, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Yasharallah, and salutation to the Akim throughout the four corners of the earth, preaching the truth and sincerity, and keeping the faith in Yahawashi and the gospel.